How's it going, everyone? We are here to evaluate the wild card round of games. We'll be focusing on FanDuel tight end. This edition, we'll ask you, like you asked me on the DraftKings one. How do you feel about tight end this week?
It's not fun.
It
I
sucks. It's
I
horrible.
don't it won't be fun. I don't think this playoff round.
It's like those white Tic Tacs. Terrible. You just go with orange.
I mean, we get another week. Like next week, we'll be able to get like Travis Kelce and Martellus Bennett.
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah, yeah. But in terms of this slate, I think we all look at Jimmy Graham and say, okay, he's the top priced option. He probably makes the most sense. Are you in on him at his price?
yeah, I am. I think because really a majority of the pricing is they're relatively close. So it makes it kind of simple. If I can spend the extra cash, I'm going to go bump up to Jimmy Graham because, you talked about this last week. He saw an uptick in targets because Tyler Lockett, with that injury. Also, great matchup against Detroit here. They've been pretty mediocre against tight ends all season. Have been a little bit better of late towards the end of the half, but overall, Jimmy Graham is still a mismatch for most guys. I just think at 6,600, he does make the most sense, especially because I'm not really a believer in the Seattle run game. I think a lot of it's going to come through Wilson, Baldwin, Graham here this week. So at 6,600, I think he's a great pairing option. And the Seattle, stack is really not that expensive when you take Baldwin and Graham into consideration at their price tag. So I'm fine with Graham this week. There are some cheaper guys we'll touch on, but yeah, I think he's really your kind of clear-cut number one.
Yeah, and then Ladarius Green, 700 less, but obviously coming off the concussion. If he plays, are you going to get exposure?
Yeah, I'll have some exposure because one, I think, you look at Big Ben's numbers there at home. I mean, this is a guy who's just been, a monster. If you're not on Brown or you're using Bell and you want like a cheap Roethlisberger target, I mean, you look at the 3 weeks before he got injured, 8, 6, and 11 in terms of targets. He is a big play guy. He does have that low floor like he did against Buffalo where he only caught 2 for 25. So I think we've seen kind of the low, the middle, and the high from Green over the last 3 weeks before being injured, 10, 3, and 20. So there is that upside. The matchup is there. So 5,900, I wish it was cheaper, but I don't mind it. I think this week, 4-game slate, you can mix and match a tight end.
It's a good tournament move, I think, especially, with some of the ownership percentages probably be pretty low. Eric Ebron, 200 cheaper. I think I like him more than Green straight up from a floor and ceiling sort of standpoint, even, with Green having that big game this year. What's your take on him versus Seattle?
Yeah, I think if I do need the discount from Graham to get a guy that I really like, I think Ebron's the next safest bet. Seattle's middle of the road against tight ends. You look at Ebron, obviously I think we all look back at that Minnesota game and then we go, okay, where did he go from there? 6, 5, 7, 12, and 6 in terms of targets. He's been looked at. He's been efficient catching the ball. I think overall his probably range of outcomes is going to be 6 to 12, just because he's got one receiving touchdown this season, which came way back in the beginning of the year. So he hasn't been looked at. It's been a lot of Bolden in the red zone. So I think overall, Ebron's probably a safe bet for about 5 to 6 catches, 60 to 70 yards, which you'll take on this slate and at that price tag.
Certainly. Yeah, you mentioned Bolden. That certainly took a lot of Ebron's production. Set career highs across the board this year, other than touchdowns, though. So in this range, the final two guys I think we're actually looking at on this slate, I mean, you can go Deion Sims, but yeah. But CJ Fedorowicz and Jared Cook at 5,300 and 5,200. Which one are you looking at more so in that tier?
I think Jared Cook. I like Fedorowicz, but I think for me, Fedorowicz just sits in a weird range. I think in terms of targets, he's pretty safe, but he's just really limited in terms of upside. I mean, really, unless he gets that touchdown, he's not doing much, which you can say for a lot of these guys. But one, you just got the quarterback play that's been so bad this year. You have Ryan Griffin kind of stealing touches away from him at times when, they matter the most down in the red zone. DeAndre Hopkins is still used quite a bit. Lamar Miller's back. So I don't know. I could kind of see Houston playing things really simple and not getting a ton of passing exposure to this team. So for me, I'm just kind of looking at Fedora. It's just I'd rather go Cook for the upside.
Fair enough. Fair enough. I think that game's going to be high scoring, and Cook is probably going to be one of the better matchups in terms of, player for that Giant secondary. So I think that's certainly an interesting move for sure.
Yeah, definitely. So
is there
that 5,200? I mean, 100 less. Might as well just bump it up.
Yeah. Is there anything else you would want to talk about on this slate, or is this, pretty straightforward?
It's pretty straightforward. For some reason, I think if you wanted to punt tight end completely, I'm not against Will Tye. I'm really not. I think, this defense has been against the pass pretty mediocre. So, this is more if you're just a believer of none of these tight ends. If you think all these tight ends are going to get 6 to 8 points, then you just kind of look and go, okay, well, I'll take a 5 or 6 from Will Tye and we'll call it a day for a big discount.
It's a sad story you're telling. Yeah,
it is. But I'm just if you are behind the Nihilus Arby's account and you just hate tight ends this week, then you're probably rolling Will Tye for basically bare min.
Fair enough. As always, you can check out Jason's article on dailyfantasycafe.com. If you like these videos, give us a like and subscribe. And as always, good luck this week. And we will see you guys, in the divisional round.